Welcome back to my channel. Today we're diving into a powerful and deeply emotional story about love, betrayal, and the devastating consequences of broken trust. Maya and Ryan seem to have it all. The picture-perfect marriage, a life built on love and partnership. But everything comes crashing down when Maya uncovers Ryan's shocking affair, unraveling a web of lies that leaves her questioning her entire world. What follows is an intense journey, as Maya confronts the heartbreak, struggles with anger and betrayal, and fights to rebuild her life. Meanwhile, Ryan must face the fallout of his choices and grapple with the man he's become. This story is raw, controversial, and deeply human, a gripping exploration of how infidelity can destroy and transform. Get ready for twists, emotional confrontations, and powerful moments of growth that will leave you on the edge of your seat. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know your thoughts as we dive into this unforgettable journey. It's 2016, a time when the world feels like it's at the edge of something new. Smartphones are practically glued to everyone's hands, and social media isn't just a place to connect. It's a way of life, but not for Maya and Ryan. They've got their own little world, a picture-perfect one, or at least that's what it seems. Maya and Ryan live in a quiet suburban neighborhood, the kind of place where every lawn is mowed to perfection, and every neighbor waves as they pass. Maya is a school counselor, someone who always seems to have the right thing to say to kids who feel lost. Her warmth is her superpower. She's got a way of making everyone feel seen and heard, even if she's barely holding it together herself. Ryan, on the other hand, is the dependable one. He's a software engineer, quiet but steady. His love language is action, fixing a leaky faucet or surprising Maya with her favorite coffee. Together, they've been married for 8 years, and to anyone looking in, they're the ideal couple. But here's the thing about perfect lives. They're rarely as flawless as they seem. It's a Wednesday night, and the house is alive with the familiar hum of routine. Maya's in the kitchen, chopping vegetables for dinner, while Ryan scrolls through his laptop at the dining table. The smell of sautéed garlic fills the air, mingling with the faint sound of a sitcom playing in the background. Maya hums a tune, her movements fluid, almost rhythmic. But tonight, there's an edge to the atmosphere, a tension that neither of them acknowledges out loud. Ryan glances up from his screen. "Dinner smells amazing," he says, offering a small smile. His eyes linger on her a little longer than usual, as if searching for something. Maya catches the look but doesn't address it. Instead, she asks, "How was work today?" "Busy," Ryan replies. His voice is casual, but there's a tightness in his jaw that doesn't go unnoticed. "Yours?" Maya shrugs, setting the knife down. "Same old, a couple of parent-teacher meetings, nothing too crazy." She hesitates, her hands brushing invisible crumbs off the counter. There's something she wants to say, but the words get stuck in her throat. The thing is, Maya's been feeling a distance lately, a chasm growing between them that she can't quite explain. It's subtle, like a whisper in the background of their lives, but it's there. Ryan comes home a little later than usual. His smiles don't quite reach his eyes anymore, and when they sit together on the couch, his phone is never far from his hand. She tells herself it's nothing, just the ebb and flow of a long-term relationship. But deep down, a part of her wonders, is it really? They eat dinner in near silence, the occasional clink of forks on plates filling the void. Maya watches Ryan as he scrolls on his phone, his brow furrowed. "Everything okay?" she asks, trying to keep her voice light. Ryan looks up, startled. "Yeah, just checking some emails." He sets the phone down, face down on the table, an action that makes Maya's stomach twist, though she doesn't know why. She smiles tightly and nods, letting the moment pass. Later that night, after the dishes are washed and the house has settled into its nighttime quiet, Maya finds herself standing in front of their bedroom window. The street outside is bathed in the soft glow of streetlights, a scene of perfect suburban serenity, but Maya's mind is anything but calm. She glances over her shoulder at Ryan, who is already in bed, his back turned to her. She bites her lip, her chest tightening with the weight of unspoken words. Ryan used to hold her close every night, whispering about their dreams for the future. Now, there's a distance between them that feels almost physical. Maya wonders when it started. Was it months ago? A year? She can't pinpoint it, but she knows it's there. Climbing into bed, she lays on her side, staring at the faint glow of the alarm clock. The silence between them feels deafening. She wants to ask him about his late nights, about the texts he's been quick to hide, about the feeling she can't shake, but she doesn't. Instead, she whispers, "Good night, Ryan," and closes her eyes, hoping sleep will take her before the doubts can. The next morning begins like any other. Maya is up before Ryan, sipping her coffee as the sun rises over the neighborhood. The familiar routines of breakfast and small talk carry them through the morning, but Maya can't shake the feeling that she's living on the surface of her own life, skimming over something much deeper. At work, she throws herself into her role, counseling students through the ups and downs of their teenage years. It's a job she loves, one that gives her purpose, but today, her thoughts drift. As she listens to a student talk about a fight with their best friend, she finds herself wondering, when did Ryan and I stop being best friends? By the time she gets home, the house is quiet. Ryan isn't back yet, which isn't unusual these days. She pulls out her phone, scrolling absent-mindedly through social media. And that's when she sees it, a photo posted by one of Ryan's coworkers. It's a group shot from a work dinner, everyone smiling around a table filled with plates and glasses. Ryan is in the photo, sitting next to a woman Maya doesn't recognize. They're not touching, but their proximity feels intimate. Maya's stomach drops. When Ryan comes home later that evening, Maya doesn't mention the photo. She watches him as he moves through the house, his actions deliberate, almost rehearsed. "How was your day?" he asks, his tone light. "Good," Maya replies, forcing a smile. "How about yours?" "Same old," Ryan says, kissing her cheek. Before heading to the bedroom, Maya stands there for a moment, the warmth of his kiss lingering on her skin, but it feels hollow. She takes a deep breath and follows him. As Ryan showers, Maya sits on the edge of the bed, her mind racing. Should she bring it up? The photo. The woman. The late nights, and the phone always face down. But what if it's nothing? She doesn't want to be the paranoid wife, jumping to conclusions without evidence, so she stays silent for now. The days that follow are a blur of half-smiles and careful conversations. Maya starts to pay closer attention, little things she hadn't noticed before. Ryan's cologne lingering a little longer than usual, the way he straightens his tie before leaving, his expression a mix of anticipation and something else she can't quite place. And then, there are the texts. She sees them out of the corner of her eye, the brief flashes of a name she doesn't recognize. When she asks who it is, Ryan brushes it off. "Just someone from work," he says, his tone casual but too quick. Maya feels the weight of her suspicions growing, a knot tightening in her chest. She starts to doubt herself, replaying moments in her mind, trying to piece together a puzzle she's not even sure exists, but the feeling doesn't go away. If anything, it grows stronger. One evening, as Ryan works late again, Maya sits alone in the living room. The TV is on, but she's not really watching. Her thoughts are loud, filling the silence of the empty house. She pulls out her laptop, typing "signs of cheating" into the search bar. The list that pops up feels both ridiculous and horrifying. Secretive behavior, changes in routine, emotional distance. She checks off each one in her mind, her stomach sinking. Maya doesn't want to believe it. She loves Ryan. She trusts him, but trust, she realizes, isn't blind, and love doesn't erase doubt. For the first time, she considers the possibility that the life she's built might not be as solid as she thought. The next morning, Maya wakes up determined. If there's something to find, she'll find it, and if there's nothing, then at least she can put her mind at ease. But deep down, she knows this isn't just paranoia, it's intuition, a feeling she can't ignore. As Ryan gets ready for work, she watches him carefully. "You're working late again tonight?" she asks, her tone light. "Yeah," he replies, not looking at her as he buttons his shirt. "Big project shouldn't be too late, though." Maya nods, forcing a smile, but as Ryan kisses her goodbye and heads out the door, she feels a mix of dread and determination. She's not sure what she'll find, but she knows she can't keep living in this limbo. It's time to search for answers. Maya spends the rest of that day in a haze, her thoughts looping around a single question. What if she's wrong, and she's letting her imagination run wild, but what if she's right? The doubt eats away at her, pulling her in two completely different directions. After Ryan leaves for work, Maya takes her first real step toward uncovering the truth. It feels wrong, invasive even, but she can't let that stop her. She starts with his nightstand, combing through the usual clutter of books, old receipts, and loose change, nothing unusual. Her heart pounds as she moves to his office desk, meticulously searching drawers and files. Again, nothing. But then, tucked into the back of his desk drawer, she finds it, a business card. It's plain, with only a name and a phone number written on it. The name doesn't ring any bells, and the phone number, well, it could mean anything, but it's enough to plant a seed of doubt that grows with every passing moment. That evening, Ryan comes home looking as calm as ever. He kisses Maya on the cheek and heads straight to the kitchen to grab a drink. Maya watches him from the doorway, trying to read him, but his expression gives nothing away. How does he stay so composed, she wonders, if he really has something to hide? At dinner, she decides to test the waters. "So, how's the big project coming along?" she asks casually, taking a sip of her wine. "Good," Ryan replies, barely looking up from his plate. "Long hours, but it's almost wrapped up." Maya nods, forcing herself to smile. "Anyone new on the team?" The question comes out light and casual, but inside, her heart is racing. Ryan pauses for a fraction of a second, just long enough for Maya to notice. "Not really," he says, his tone even. "Same faces as always." The knot in her chest tightens. He's lying. She's sure of it now, but she doesn't push. Not yet. Over the next few days, Maya becomes increasingly observant. She watches Ryan more closely, noting every detail, the way he angles his phone away when he's texting, the new aftershave she's never seen him buy, the late nights that seem to stretch longer and longer. Her suspicions hit a breaking point one evening when Ryan steps out of the room to take a call. Maya's ears perk up as she hears him murmuring in low tones, his voice barely audible. She moves closer, trying to catch the words, but all she hears is a soft laugh. A laugh she hasn't heard in weeks. When Ryan returns, she's sitting on the couch, pretending to scroll through her phone. "Who was that?" she asks, her tone casual. "Work stuff," he says with a shrug, but his eyes don't meet hers. It's a small thing, but it feels monumental. Maya bites her lip, holding back the flood of questions she wants to ask. The turning point comes one Friday evening. Ryan is supposed to be working late again, but this time, Maya decides to take matters into her own hands. She drives to his office, parking a few blocks away to avoid being seen. Her palms are sweaty, her stomach churning with nerves, but she knows she has to do this. She waits in her car for over an hour, watching the office building like a hawk. Then, just as she's about to give up, she sees him. Ryan steps out of the building, not alone, but with a woman. The same woman from the photo. They're laughing, their body language relaxed and intimate. Maya feels a lump rise in her throat as she watches them walk to a nearby car. The woman leans in, saying something that makes Ryan smile, a smile Maya hasn't seen in months. And then, just as she feared, he leans down and kisses her. It's quick, almost casual, but it's enough to confirm everything Maya has been dreading. Driving home, Maya feels a mix of emotions, anger, sadness, betrayal, but above all, she feels numb. The image of Ryan and the woman plays on a loop in her mind, each replay like a fresh wound. By the time she pulls into the driveway, her hands are shaking. She doesn't confront him that night. Instead, She spends hours sitting in the dark living room, staring at the flickering shadows on the wall. The house feels like a stranger's now, every corner filled with memories that suddenly seem false. When Ryan finally comes home, she doesn't even look at him. She just listens to the sound of his footsteps as he heads to bed, oblivious to the storm brewing inside her. The next morning, Maya makes a decision. She needs to know more. She can't confront Ryan without solid proof, something he can't twist or deny. So, she starts keeping track. She notes the dates and times of his late nights, the names she sees flash across his phone screen, and anything else that feels off. It's meticulous and painful, but she knows it's the only way forward. One afternoon, while Ryan is out, Maya takes a bold step. She logs into his email. It's something she swore she'd never do, but desperate times call for desperate measures. At first, everything looks normal. Work emails, bills, the usual. But then she sees it. A message in his deleted folder, addressed to the woman from the photo. The subject line reads, "Last night was amazing." Maya's breath catches as she opens the email. The words confirm everything she already knows, but didn't want to believe. "I can't wait to see you again. You make me feel alive in a way I haven't in years." The words burn into her brain, leaving no room for doubt. Maya sits back in her chair, her hands trembling. The betrayal is no longer a suspicion or a feeling. It's a fact. She feels a tear slip down her cheek, but she wipes it away quickly. She can't afford to break down. Not yet. Over the next week, Maya continues to gather evidence. She screenshots emails, takes photos of receipts she finds in Ryan's pockets, and even installs a tracking app on his phone. It's invasive, yes, but it's also necessary. If Ryan has been lying to her for months, she needs to know the full extent of it. In the meantime, she keeps up appearances. She smiles when Ryan walks through the door, kisses him goodnight, and pretends everything is fine. But inside, she's crumbling. Every lie he tells, every secret he keeps, feels like a knife twisting deeper into her heart. And then, one evening, it all comes to a head. Ryan is in the shower, his phone left unattended on the nightstand. Maya hesitates for a moment, her heart pounding in her chest, but then she picks it up and unlocks it. What she finds confirms her worst fears. A string of messages between Ryan and the other woman. They're planning a weekend getaway, one that Maya now realizes will take place during his so-called business trip next week. Her hands shake as she scrolls through the messages. The intimacy, the familiarity. It's too much. She feels her chest tighten, her breathing shallow, and that's when she knows it's time to confront him. Before we dive into what happens next, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever been in a situation like this, or do you think Maya's approach is justified? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next part of this story. Maya doesn't sleep that night. She lies in bed, staring at the ceiling as Ryan snores softly beside her, completely unaware of the storm that's about to break. The evidence she's gathered sits on her phone, her hands itching to use it, but she knows she needs to confront him when he can't brush her off, when the truth has no escape route. The next morning, Maya wakes up earlier than usual. She watches Ryan move through his routine, his face calm, almost serene. It's infuriating. He kisses her on the cheek as he heads out the door, completely oblivious to the fact that she knows everything. Once he's gone, Maya gets to work. She gathers her notes, organizes the screenshots, and compiles everything into a neat little folder. She's ready for whatever excuses Ryan might try to throw her way. She's ready to make him face the truth. That evening, the confrontation finally happens. Ryan comes home, setting his briefcase by the door like it's any other day, but Maya is waiting for him in the living room, her arms crossed and her face like stone. He pauses when he sees her, a flicker of confusion, or is it guilt, crossing his face. "We need to talk," Maya says, her voice steady but cold. Ryan hesitates. "Sure," he says, slowly stepping into the room. "What's going on?" Maya doesn't waste time. She pulls out her phone and opens the folder of evidence. "Who is she, Ryan?" she asks, holding up the incriminating screenshots. His face pales. For a moment, he doesn't say anything, his eyes darting between her and the phone. "Maya, Don't!" She cuts him off. "Don't lie to me. I've seen the messages. I've seen the photos. I know everything." Ryan sinks into the armchair, his head in his hands. "It's not what you think," he starts, but Maya laughs bitterly. "It's exactly what I think," she snaps. "You've been lying to me for months, sneaking around, making me question my own sanity. And for what, to play house with someone else while I'm sitting here, trusting you?" Ryan looks up, his eyes pleading. "Maya, I never meant for this to happen. I didn't know how to stop it." "That's your excuse?" Maya's voice rises. "You didn't know how to stop. You didn't think about stopping when you were sending her those messages or planning that weekend getaway, did you?" Ryan flinches. "I made a mistake, Maya. I know I did, but it doesn't mean I don't love you." Maya feels the words hit her like a physical blow. Love. How can he talk about love when he's spent months destroying the very foundation of it? She shakes her head, tears stinging her eyes. "You don't get to use that word, not after what you've done." The argument spirals from there, both of them throwing words like knives. Ryan tries to explain himself, painting the affair as a moment of weakness, a result of feeling unappreciated, but every excuse feels like salt in the wound. Maya doesn't hold back, unleashing the anger and betrayal she's been bottling up for weeks. "You felt unappreciated?" she spits. "Do you have any idea how hard I've worked to keep this marriage together, to support you, to love you? And this is how you repay me?" Ryan doesn't have an answer. He looks away, his silence more damning than any admission. The conversation ends with Maya storming out of the room, her heart pounding and her hands trembling. She locks herself in the bedroom, tears streaming down her face as she tries to process what just happened. The man she thought she knew, the man she built a life with, has become a stranger. And now, she has to decide what comes next. The following days are a blur of tension and avoidance. Ryan tries to apologize, to repair the damage, but Maya isn't ready to listen. Every time he tries to talk to her, she feels a fresh wave of anger and pain. She starts spending more time out of the house, going for long walks, or sitting alone in a nearby park. Anything to escape the suffocating weight of their fractured relationship. It's during one of these walks that Maya has an epiphany. She's been so focused on Ryan, his betrayal, his excuses, his lies, that she hasn't stopped to think about herself. What does she want? What does she need? For the first time, she starts to see a path forward, one that doesn't include Ryan. Maya begins to make plans. She meets with a lawyer, starts looking at apartments, and even reaches out to a few friends she's lost touch with over the years. It's terrifying, the thought of starting over, but it's also liberating. For the first time in years, she feels like she's taking control of her own life. Ryan notices the change in her. He sees the packed boxes, the way she avoids his touch, the determination in her eyes. One evening, he finally confronts her. "Maya, are you leaving me?" She doesn't answer right away. Instead, she looks at him, really looks at him, and sees the man she once loved, the man who betrayed her. "I don't know who you are anymore," she says quietly, "and I don't think you know who I am either." The final breaking point comes a week later. Maya and Ryan are sitting at the dinner table, the silence between them louder than any argument. Ryan finally speaks, his voice heavy with regret. "Maya, I'll do anything to fix this. Just tell me what you need." She looks at him, her heart aching with a mix of love and pain. "I needed you to be honest," she says. "I needed you to choose me before it came to this, but now, I need to choose myself." Her words hang in the air, final and unyielding. Ryan's face crumples, and for the first time, Maya sees him for what he truly is. A flawed, broken man who let his own insecurities destroy the best thing he ever had. That night, Maya packs the last of her things and leaves. She doesn't look back as she steps out the door, the weight of the past falling away with each step. The future is uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, she feels free. Maya drives away from the house for the last time, her duffel bag sitting in the passenger seat like a silent witness to her escape. The city streets blur past her as she heads to the small apartment she rented downtown, a far cry from the spacious home she once shared with Ryan. But it's hers, and that, more than anything, is what matters now. The first night in her new space feels strange. The walls are bare, the furniture minimal, and the quiet is almost deafening. But there's a freedom in it too, a sense of starting fresh that fills her with cautious hope. Maya unpacks slowly, deliberately, letting each item she places feel like a step toward reclaiming her life. The next morning, Maya wakes up to sunlight streaming through the window, a stark contrast to the storm clouds that seem to hang over her for months. For the first time in what feels like forever, she doesn't feel the weight of suspicion or heartbreak pressing down on her. She brews a cup of coffee, savoring the simplicity of the moment, and makes a silent promise to herself. This is the beginning of something better. But as Maya begins to settle into her new routine, the reality of her decision starts to sink in. The life she once knew is gone, and with it, the safety and certainty she had clung to for so long. Her friends, many of whom were also Ryan's friends, don't know how to respond to the news of their separation. Some reach out with hesitant words of support. Others stay silent, unsure of what to say. It's isolating, but Maya reminds herself that this is a necessary step toward finding herself again. Meanwhile, Ryan is left to grapple with the consequences of his actions. The house feels emptier without Maya, her absence a constant reminder of what he's lost. He tries to distract himself with work, with friends, but nothing fills the void. One night, he picks up his phone, scrolling through old photos of them together, laughing at the beach, celebrating anniversaries, building the life he threw away. It hits him then, with a clarity that's almost cruel. He's the only one to blame for where they are now. In a moment of desperation, Ryan sends Maya a message. It's short and to the point. I'm sorry. For everything, I hope you can forgive me someday. He doesn't expect a response, and he doesn't get one, but hitting send feels like a small step toward accepting the mess he's made. As Maya settles into her new life, she throws herself into work and reconnecting with old passions. Photography, a hobby she hadn't touched in years, becomes her escape. She spends weekends exploring the city, capturing its beauty through her lens. There's something therapeutic about seeing the world through a new perspective, framing each shot like a piece of a life she's rebuilding. It's during one of these photography outings that Maya meets Claire, a fellow artist with a vibrant energy that's impossible to ignore. They strike up a conversation, sharing stories of their creative journeys, and it feels easy, like a breath of fresh air. Claire invites Maya to join a local photography group, and though she's hesitant at first, Maya eventually agrees. The group becomes a lifeline for Maya. It's a mix of people from all walks of life, each with their own story, their own scars. They don't pry into her past, and she doesn't offer much, but the sense of community is exactly what she needs. Slowly, Maya starts to open up, sharing her work and her thoughts, finding her voice again in the process. Claire, in particular, becomes a close friend. Her quick wit and genuine warmth make her impossible not to like, and Maya finds herself looking forward to their conversations. One evening, after a group outing, Claire turns to Maya and says, "You're stronger than you think. You know most people would have crumbled after what you've been through." Maya smiles, though her eyes glisten with unshed tears. "Some days it doesn't feel that way," she admits. "That's because strength isn't about feeling invincible," Claire replies. "It's about moving forward, even when you don't know how." As the weeks turn into months, Maya continues to find her footing. She starts journaling, pouring her thoughts and feelings onto the page in a way that feels both cathartic and terrifying. The act of writing becomes a mirror, forcing her to confront the pain, anger, and even the lingering love she feels for Ryan. One entry in particular stands out to her. "I don't hate him. I wish I did. It would be easier. But hate isn't the opposite of love. Indifference is, And I'm not there yet, but I will be. It's a turning point for Maya, a realization that healing isn't about erasing the past, but learning to live with it. She starts to feel a sense of peace, a quiet confidence that she's on the right path. But just as Maya begins to feel stable, a curveball throws her off balance. One evening, while she's sitting in her apartment, her phone buzzes with a call from an unknown number. She hesitates before answering, her heart sinking when she hears Ryan's voice on the other end. "Maya," he says, his tone heavy with emotion. "I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but I need to say this." She doesn't respond, her grip on the phone tightening. "I'm not asking for another chance," he continues. "I know I don't deserve one, but I need you to know how sorry I am for everything, for hurting you, for betraying your trust. I'll carry that guilt for the rest of my life." Maya closes her eyes, a wave of emotions crashing over her. She wants to hang up, to shut him out completely, but something in his voice stops her. For a moment, there's silence between them, heavy and charged. "Ryan," she finally says, her voice steady but soft, "I appreciate the apology, but I've moved on, and I think it's time you do too." Ryan's breath hitches, but he doesn't argue. I wanted you to hear it from me," he says. "I'm sorry, Maya. I really am." When the call ends, Maya sits in the quiet of her apartment, her heart aching, but her mind clear. She knows she made the right decision, but closure is never as clean as it sounds. She takes a deep breath, letting the emotions wash over her before setting the phone down and picking up her journal. That night, she writes, "Closure isn't about them. It's about me, and I'm finally ready to let go." The next morning, Maya wakes up feeling lighter. The conversation with Ryan, though painful, feels like the final chapter of a book she's ready to close. She pours herself a cup of coffee, the sunlight streaming through the window, and smiles for the first time in what feels like forever. Maya's journey takes a surprising turn when, a week after Ryan's heartfelt apology, she receives an unexpected message from Emily, her college roommate from over a decade ago. "Hey Maya, I know it's been ages, but I've been thinking about you lately. I'd love to catch up coffee soon." Maya stares at the message, feeling a strange mix of nostalgia and hesitation. Emily was one of the few people who truly knew her, someone she could be vulnerable with. But reconnecting feels like opening a door to a part of her life she's been trying to rebuild. Still, Maya replies, "I'd love that. Let me know when you're free." Their reunion is both comforting and bittersweet. They meet at a small cafe downtown, the kind of cozy spot where time seems to slow down. Emily greets Maya with a warm hug, her laughter as infectious as ever. "You look amazing," Emily says, her eyes scanning Maya with genuine affection. "Life's been treating you well?" Maya hesitates before answering. "It's been a journey," she admits, sipping her coffee. As the conversation flows, she finds herself sharing more than she expected, about Ryan, the betrayal, and her decision to leave. Emily listens intently, her expression a mix of empathy and quiet admiration. "You've always been stronger than you realize," Emily says, her voice steady. "Walking away from something that no longer serves you, that's the kind of bravery most people don't have." Maya smiles, feeling a flicker of warmth she hasn't felt in a while. Emily's words linger in her mind long after they part ways, a quiet reminder that she's not alone in this journey. Meanwhile, Ryan's life continues to unravel. The weight of his choices bears down on him, leaving him isolated and regretful. His co-workers notice the change in him. He's quieter, withdrawn, and less engaged. Even his friends, the ones who used to admire his charm and confidence, start to drift away. One evening, Ryan receives a call from Lauren, the woman he had the affair with. "Hey," she says, her tone casual, almost detached. "I just wanted to check in, haven't heard from you in a while." Ryan hesitates, the sound of her voice stirring a complicated mix of emotions. "Yeah, I've been dealing with some stuff," he replies vaguely. Lauren doesn't press for details. "Well, if you ever want to talk, you know where to find me." Her words are light, but Ryan senses the distance in them. a reminder that their connection was built on fragile foundations. After the call ends, Ryan sits alone in his darkened living room, the silence oppressive. For the first time, he allows himself to acknowledge the truth. He's lost not just Maya, but a part of himself, and he's not sure how to find his way back. As Maya's world expands, she finds herself growing closer to Claire, who continues to be a steady source of support and encouragement. One evening, after a particularly inspiring photography group session, Claire invites Maya to her studio. "I want to show you something," Claire says, leading Maya into the brightly lit space filled with canvases, sketches, and bursts of color. On one wall hangs a series of black and white photographs, raw, emotional, and deeply personal. "These are incredible," Maya says, her voice tinged with awe. "What inspired them?" Claire smiles softly. "Life pain. Healing. I've always believed that art has a way of capturing what words can't." Maya nods, her eyes lingering on one photo in particular, a close-up of a single hand reaching out into the void. It feels both lonely and hopeful, a perfect representation of where she is in her own journey. "You should think about putting together your own series," Claire says suddenly. "Your perspective, your story, it deserves to be seen." Maya laughs nervously. "I don't know if I'm ready for that." "You don't have to be," Claire replies. "Just start, the rest will follow." Claire's words stick with Maya, planting a seed of possibility. Over the next few weeks, she begins to experiment with her photography, capturing moments that reflect her own process of healing and growth. She focuses on the small, beautiful details, the way sunlight filters through leaves, the quiet strength of a blooming flower, the resilience in cracked pavement. Each photo feels like a step toward rediscovering her voice. One day, as Maya reviews her latest batch of shots, she feels a surge of pride. For the first time in a long time, she sees herself not as a victim of her circumstances, but as an artist, a creator, someone capable of shaping her own narrative. The climax of Maya's journey comes unexpectedly. One evening, she attends a photography exhibition with Claire, her nerves buzzing with a mix of excitement and anxiety. It's the first time she's been in such a creative space since her separation, and she's unsure of how she'll feel. As they wander through the gallery, Maya's eyes are drawn to a particular photo, a striking black and white image of a woman standing at the edge of a cliff, her silhouette framed against a vast open sky. The caption reads, "Freedom is found in the space between what was and what will be." Maya feels a lump rise in her throat as she stares at the photo. It's a reflection of everything she's been working toward, the courage to let go, the hope for something better. She glances at Claire, who smiles knowingly. "That one hits home, doesn't it?" "It does," Maya admits, her voice soft. "More than I expected." Later that night, as Maya lies in bed, she reflects on how far she's come. The wounds Ryan left behind are still there, but they've begun to heal, forming scars that remind her of her strength. She thinks about the people who have come into her life, Emily, Claire, her photography group, and feels a deep sense of gratitude. They've helped her see that even in the darkest moments, there's light to be found. Maya picks up her journal and writes, "Today I felt free. For the first time in a long time, I'm not looking back, I'm looking forward." Ryan, meanwhile, continues to struggle with the aftermath of his choices. One day, he receives an email from Maya, not a long, emotional letter, but a simple message thanking him for his apology and wishing him well. It's not the reconciliation he had hoped for, but it's a step toward closure. Reading her words, Ryan feels a strange mix of sadness and relief. He knows he's lost her for good, but he also knows that letting her go is the only way to truly move on. He deletes the email, takes a deep breath, and resolves to start rebuilding his own life. The final turning point for Maya comes when she decides to submit her work to a local photography competition. It's a bold move, one that feels both exhilarating and terrifying. But as she hits submit on her application, she feels a rush of pride. This is her story, her art, her life, and she's ready to share it with the world. Maya spends the days leading up to the photography competition in a whirlwind of nerves and determination. She reviews her work tirelessly, selecting the pieces that feel most authentic to her journey. Each photograph tells a story, a moment of pain, resilience, or discovery. By the time she's ready to submit, she feels a profound sense of accomplishment, regardless of the outcome. Claire helps Maya prepare for the event, her enthusiasm infectious. "You're going to blow them away," she says, her tone firm with belief. "Your work has a way of connecting with people. It's raw, it's honest, and that's what makes it powerful." Maya smiles, though her stomach churns with anxiety. "I just hope they see what I'm trying to say." "They will," Claire assures her. "Trust me." The day of the competition arrives, and Maya steps into the gallery with a mixture of anticipation and dread. The room buzzes with energy, filled with artists, critics, and spectators. Maya feels small at first, her confidence wavering as she takes in the incredible talent on display. But then she sees her own work hanging on the wall, and something shifts. It's a reminder that she deserves to be here, that her voice matters. As the evening progresses, Maya watches people stop to admire her photos. She overhears snippets of their conversations, words like haunting, evocative, and beautiful. Each comment feels like a validation of her decision to share her story. When the judges approach her display, Maya holds her breath. They examine her work closely, their expressions thoughtful. One judge, a seasoned photographer with a sharp eye, turns to Maya and says, "Your work is deeply personal. It's rare to see such vulnerability in this medium. Well done." Maya's heart swells with pride, and for the first time in a long time, she feels truly seen. As Maya navigates the highs of the competition, Ryan's life takes a dramatic turn. His attempt to move on has been slow and painful, marked by a series of false starts. But one evening, while cleaning out his office, he stumbles upon a photo album Maya had put together years ago, a collection of their happiest memories. He flips through the pages, each photo a reminder of the life they once shared, the laughter, the love, the dreams. They feel like a distant echo of a man he no longer recognizes, and yet, the album stirs something in him, a realization that he's been running from himself as much as he's been running from the past. Ryan decides it's time to make amends, not to win Maya back, but to find closure for himself. He starts by reaching out to people he's wronged, rebuilding bridges he thought were burned. It's a slow, humbling process, but it's also a step toward becoming the man he wants to be. The photography competition marks a pivotal moment for Maya. Though she doesn't win the top prize, she receives an honorable mention, and more importantly, an invitation to showcase her work at a larger exhibition in the city. The recognition feels surreal, a testament to how far she's come. That night, as Maya and Claire celebrate over dinner, Maya reflects on everything that's brought her to this point. "If you'd told me a year ago that I'd be here, doing this, I wouldn't have believed you," she admits. Claire smiles, raising her glass. "And yet, here you are, stronger, wiser, and killing it." Maya laughs, the sound light and genuine. For the first time, she feels like the pieces of her life are starting to fit together, but the past has a way of resurfacing when you least expect it. A few weeks later, Maya receives a letter in the mail. It's from Ryan. She hesitates before opening it, her heart racing as she unfolds the paper. The letter is short, but its contents leave her breathless. "Maya, I've spent months reflecting on everything that happened between us, and I've come to realize how deeply I failed you, and myself. I know I can't undo the hurt I caused, but I want you to know that I've been working to become a better person, not for anyone else, but for me. I'm writing this not to ask for forgiveness, but to thank you for showing me what love is, for teaching me the value of honesty, and for walking away when I wasn't capable of being the partner you deserved. You've inspired me to be better, and for that, I'll always be grateful. Wishing you all the happiness in the world, Ryan." Maya sits with the letter for a long time, her emotions swirling. It's not a plea for reconciliation, but a genuine acknowledgement of the journey they've both been on. For the first time, she feels a sense of peace, not just with Ryan, but with herself. Maya decides to frame the letter, not as a reminder of the pain, but as a symbol of growth. She places it in her studio, next to a photo of the cliffside silhouette that first inspired her. It becomes a quiet reminder of where she's been and how far she's come. In the months that follow, Maya's life continues to flourish. She pours herself into her art, traveling to new places, capturing stories through her lens. She builds deeper connections with the people around her, finding joy in the simple, meaningful moments. One evening, as she watches the sun set over the city, Maya reflects on her journey. The wounds of the past have healed, leaving behind scars that tell a story, not of betrayal, but of resilience. She smiles, feeling a quiet sense of fulfillment. This is her life, and it's beautiful. Maya's life seems to have settled into a steady rhythm, but as with all stories, the calm is only the precursor to the storm. Just when she begins to feel confident in her new path, the photography gallery where she's preparing to exhibit her work announces that a prestigious art critic will be attending. The news spreads like wildfire through the local artist community, and for Maya, it sparks equal parts excitement and terror. "This is it," Claire says one evening, as they sip wine in Maya's apartment. "This could be the moment that puts your name on the map." Maya forces a smile, though her hands tremble slightly. "No pressure, right?" Claire laughs, nudging her shoulder. "You've got this. Your work is incredible, and it deserves to be seen." But as the date of the exhibition approaches, Maya's nerves begin to consume her. She spends sleepless nights tweaking her pieces, questioning every choice she's made. The weight of potential failure looms large, threatening to undo all the progress she's made. Meanwhile, Ryan's journey takes an unexpected turn. During a volunteer event he signs up for on a whim, he meets a man named Paul, an older mentor figure who seems to see right through him. Over coffee, Paul asks Ryan bluntly, "What are you running from?" Ryan hesitates, taken aback by the directness. "I'm not running," he says defensively, but the words feel hollow. Paul raises an eyebrow. "You sure about that? Because the way I see it, you're trying to fill a hole you don't understand yet." The conversation stays with Ryan long after they part ways. He starts to reflect more deeply on his choices, not just the affair, but the patterns that led him there. For the first time, he considers the possibility that his actions weren't just about Maya or their marriage, but about his own fears and insecurities. The night of the exhibition arrives, and the gallery buzzes with energy. Maya stands near her display, dressed in a simple but elegant outfit Claire helped her choose. Her heart pounds as she watches attendees move through the room, their eyes scanning each piece of art. The critic, a sharp-eyed woman with a reputation for brutal honesty, moves methodically through the gallery. When she finally reaches Maya's section, Maya holds her breath. The critic spends several minutes examining Maya's photos, her expression unreadable. Then, she turns to Maya and says, "Your work is haunting. There's a rawness to it that's rare. It's as though you've captured not just moments but emotions." Maya feels her knees go weak with relief. "Thank you," she manages to say, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her. The critic nods, her gaze softening slightly. "You have a gift, don't waste it." As the evening winds down, Maya finds herself standing outside the gallery, staring up at the night sky. The weight of the evening lifts, replaced by a quiet sense of pride. She's come so far, and for the first time, she truly believes in her own strength. Claire joins her, handing over a glass of champagne. "To new beginnings," she says with a smile, raising her glass. "To new beginnings," Maya echoes, clinking their glasses together. But just as Maya begins to savor her success, an unexpected twist shakes her newfound stability. The next day, while checking her email, she receives a message from a lawyer representing Ryan. The subject line reads, "Divorce Settlement Proposal." Maya's chest tightens as she opens the email, scanning the details. The terms are fair. Ryan isn't contesting anything, but the message is a stark reminder of the finality of their separation. It's a chapter of her life she thought she'd closed, but now it feels like it's staring her in the face again. She calls Claire, her voice shaky. I thought I was done with this, but seeing it in writing, it's so real. Claire listens patiently before replying. Real doesn't mean bad, Maya. It means you're moving forward. It's one more step toward letting go. Maya takes a deep breath, letting Claire's words sink in. She knows her friend is right, but the road ahead still feels daunting. Ryan, on the other hand, grapples with his own emotions as the divorce proceedings move forward. Signing the papers feels like a loss, but also a release. He begins to see the process not as an ending, but as an opportunity to rebuild his life from the ground up. Paul's words echo in his mind. You can't move forward until you understand what you're running from. Ryan starts attending therapy, delving into the fears and insecurities that have shaped his decisions. It's a painful process, but one he knows is necessary if he's ever going to find peace. The final turning point for Maya comes during a visit to the beach, a place she's always found solace. Standing at the water's edge, the waves lapping at her feet, she thinks about everything she's been through, the betrayal, the heartbreak, the growth. She realizes that while Ryan's chapter in her life is over, it's still a part of her story, and that's okay. Maya pulls out her camera, capturing the horizon as the sun sets. The photo feels symbolic, a representation of her journey and the endless possibilities ahead. She knows she's not the same person she was a year ago, and for the first time, she feels at peace with that. The divorce is finalized a few weeks later. Maya signs the papers with a steady hand. Feeling a mixture of sadness and relief, Ryan sends her a brief message afterward. Thank you for everything, I wish you the best. She replies simply, you too. With the legal ties officially severed, Maya feels a weight lift. She's free to move forward, unburdened by the past. In the months that follow, Maya continues to thrive. Her photography gains recognition, leading to new opportunities and collaborations. She builds deeper relationships with the people in her life, including Claire, who becomes not just a friend, but a partner in her creative journey. One evening, as Maya hosts a small gathering in her apartment to celebrate her latest exhibition, she looks around the room and feels a profound sense of gratitude. These are her people, her tribe. They've seen her at her lowest and helped her rise again. As the night winds down, Maya steps onto her balcony, the city lights stretching out before her. Claire joins her, handing over a glass of wine. You did it, Claire says, her voice filled with pride. Maya smiles, her heart full. We did it, she replies. I couldn't have done this without you. They toast to the journey, to the struggles and triumphs that have brought them to this moment, and as Maya gazes out at the world, she feels an unshakable sense of hope. The future is wide open, and she's ready to embrace it. As Maya's life flourishes, she begins to notice subtle but profound changes in herself. She's no longer the woman who second-guessed every decision, nor the one who hesitated to take risks. Her newfound confidence radiates through her photography, her friendships, and even in the way she carries herself. But with growth comes reflection, and as she prepares for her next big exhibition, a lingering sense of unfinished business begins to surface. It's not about Ryan, not directly at least. It's about her own sense of closure. She's moved on, but she knows she needs to face the parts of herself that still cling to the pain, not to dwell on the past, but to finally let it go. Claire, ever the grounding force in Maya's life, notices the change. One afternoon, as they work side by side in Claire's studio, she asks, "What's been on your mind lately?" "You've been quieter than usual." Maya hesitates, her fingers tracing the edge of a photo frame. "I think I need to go back to the house." Claire's eyebrows lift in surprise. "The house? You mean the one you and Ryan lived in?" Maya nods. "I left so quickly, I didn't really take time to say goodbye to the life we had there, to who I was." Claire studies her for a moment before nodding. "If that's what you need to do, then do it. But don't go looking for answers from the past, you've already found them in yourself." The decision to revisit the house isn't an easy one. Maya drives to the familiar neighborhood with a mix of dread and determination. The streets are unchanged. Neatly trimmed lawns, children playing outside, the same peaceful facade she once thought would be her forever. When she pulls into the driveway, she notices a for sale sign staked into the front yard. Ryan's moved on too. It seems Maya takes a deep breath and steps out of the car, her heart pounding as she approaches the front door. The house feels different, emptier somehow. The once vibrant space is now stripped of the warmth they'd filled it with. No photos, no furniture, just echoes of the life they shared. Maya walks through each room slowly, letting the memories wash over her. The laughter, the arguments, the dreams. They all come flooding back. In the living room, Maya pauses. This was the heart of their home, the place where they spent countless evenings talking, laughing, and building a life. She closes her eyes, allowing herself to feel the weight of it all, one last time. And then, with a deep breath, she lets it go. When she leaves the house, there's no sadness, only a sense of release. Maya realizes that the house wasn't what she needed to say goodbye to. It was the version of herself who lived there, the one who stayed silent, who sacrificed her happiness for someone else's comfort. That woman is gone, and in her place stands someone stronger. Meanwhile, Ryan's journey reaches its own critical point. After months of therapy and self-reflection, he begins to confront the deeper issues that led to his betrayal. One session, in particular, becomes a turning point. His therapist asks, "What do you think you were searching for in the affair?" Ryan hesitates, the weight of the question pressing down on him. "I think I was searching for validation, for something to make me feel like I was enough." The admission feels like a wound being reopened, but it's also a step toward healing. Ryan begins to see how his insecurities and fear of failure drove his choices, and for the first time, he starts to forgive himself, not to excuse his actions, but to stop letting them define him. As Ryan works through his past, he begins to rebuild his life with intention. He reconnects with his family, strengthens old friendships, and even begins volunteering at a local youth center. The work is fulfilling, a reminder that he can still create something meaningful despite his mistakes. One afternoon, while helping a teenager with a school project, the boy asks, "Why do you do this, help people, I mean?" Ryan smiles, his answer coming easily. "Because someone once helped me see that it's never too late to be better." The boy nods, his expression thoughtful. "That's cool." For the first time in a long time, Ryan feels a sense of purpose that has nothing to do with anyone else's expectations. It's a quiet victory, but one that means everything. Maya's exhibition draws closer, and the excitement builds to a fever pitch. The theme of her work, resilience, the beauty in breaking, is deeply personal, a reflection of her journey. The photos are raw and intimate, capturing moments of pain and healing in a way that resonates with everyone who sees them. The night of the exhibition, the gallery is packed. Maya stands by her display, greeting attendees with a mixture of pride and humility. Claire is by her side, her unwavering support a constant source of strength. As Maya looks around the room, she sees faces light up as they connect with her work. Strangers approach her, sharing their own stories of resilience and growth. It's a moment of profound connection, a reminder that art has the power to heal not just the creator, but the viewer as well. The climax of the evening comes when Maya steps onto the small stage in the gallery to give a speech. She grips the microphone tightly, her heart pounding as the room falls silent. "I used to think that breaking was the end," she begins, her voice steady. "That when something shattered, it could never be whole again. But I've learned that breaking is just the beginning. It's in the cracks that we find our strength, our resilience, and our beauty." Her words hang in the air, a ripple of emotion passing through the crowd. Maya takes a deep breath, her eyes scanning the room. "This work isn't just mine, it's ours. It's a testament to the fact that we can survive anything, as long as we keep moving forward." The applause is thunderous, but it's the quiet moments afterward, when people approach her with tears in their eyes, thanking her for sharing her story, that truly move her. The night ends with Maya and Claire sitting on the gallery steps, the cool evening air wrapping around them. "You did it," Claire says, raising an imaginary glass in a toast. Maya smiles, her heart full. "We did it." As they sit there, watching the city lights twinkle in the distance, Maya feels a profound sense of peace. She's not just surviving anymore, she's thriving, and for the first time, she's excited to see what comes next. Maya wakes up the morning after her exhibition with a sense of clarity she hasn't felt in years. The applause, the heartfelt conversations, and the connections she made have filled her with a renewed sense of purpose. For so long, she defined herself by the pain of her past, but now, she's ready to fully embrace the future. Her phone buzzes on the nightstand, a message from Claire. "Brunch. We need to celebrate properly." Maya smiles, typing back a quick, "Absolutely, see you at 11. As she gets ready, Maya takes a moment to look at the framed letter from Ryan hanging on her studio wall. It's not a symbol of heartbreak anymore. It's a reminder of how far she's come. She breathes deeply, letting the quiet confidence of the morning settle over her. Meanwhile, Ryan is at a crossroads of his own. After months of soul-searching, he started to see the outlines of the man he wants to be. The volunteer work at the youth center has become a grounding force in his life, giving him a sense of purpose he hadn't known he was missing. One day, while organizing supplies at the center, he overhears two teenagers arguing. Their voices are sharp, filled with frustration and pain. Ryan steps in, his calm demeanor diffusing the tension. "What's going on, guys?" he asks, his tone gentle but firm. The boys hesitate before one of them blurts out, "He thinks I don't care about this project, but I've been working my butt off." Ryan nods, listening carefully. "Sounds like there's a lot of passion here. That's a good thing. But passion doesn't work well with assumptions. Have you actually talked to each other about what's going on?" The boys exchange sheepish looks, and Ryan smiles. "Give it a shot. You might be surprised what you find." As they begin to talk, Ryan steps back, a quiet pride settling over him. He's learning how to channel his own mistakes into lessons for others, and it feels like a step in the right direction. At brunch, Claire is her usual vibrant self, filling the room with laughter as they toast to Maya's success. "So what's next for the rising star of the photography world?" she teases, raising her mimosa. Maya grins, her eyes sparkling. "I have a few projects in mind, but I think I want to focus on something more personal. Maybe a series about second chances and self-discovery." Claire nods thoughtfully. "I like that it's very you." The conversation shifts to lighter topics, but Maya feels a seed of inspiration take root. She's ready to dig deeper into her art, to tell stories that not only reflect her journey, but resonate with others on their own paths of growth. As Maya dives into her new project, she begins to explore themes of vulnerability and resilience in unexpected ways. She spends hours interviewing people, friends, strangers, even Claire, capturing their stories through her lens. Each photograph becomes a window into a world of triumphs and struggles, a celebration of the human spirit. One evening, as she reviews her work, Maya receives an email from a major art publication. They've heard about her recent exhibition and want to feature her in an upcoming issue. Maya's breath catches as she reads the message, her excitement bubbling over. She calls Claire immediately. "You're not going to believe this," she says, her voice shaking with emotion. "I'm going to be featured in the Art Chronicle." Claire lets out a delighted squeal. "Maya, that's huge. You're officially making waves." The news feels like validation, not just of her talent, but of the choices she's made to rebuild her life. But even as Maya's star rises, the past has one more twist in store. A few weeks later, while organizing her studio, she finds an old box tucked away in the back of a closet. Inside are mementos from her marriage, a mix of happy memories and painful reminders. At the bottom of the box, she finds a letter she wrote to herself years ago, during a particularly difficult time in her relationship. The words are raw, filled with longing and frustration. "I want to be seen. I want to be heard. I want to feel like I matter." Reading it now, Maya feels a pang of sadness for the woman she was then. so desperate for validation, so willing to shrink herself to fit someone else's needs. But she also feels a surge of pride for the woman she's become. She's found her voice, her purpose, and her sense of self-worth, and she knows she'll never lose them again. Ryan, too, faces a moment of reckoning. While cleaning out his old office, he stumbles upon a folder filled with papers from his marriage, plans for vacations they never took, notes for anniversaries that came and went. At the bottom of the stack is a list he wrote after their first big fight, titled, How to Be Better. The list is simple. Listen more, communicate better, show appreciation. But it's a stark reminder of how far he strayed from his intentions. Ryan sits with the list for a long time, reflecting on the ways he failed not just Maya, but himself. He decides to keep the list, not as a source of guilt, but as a guide for the man he wants to be. It's a small step, but one that feels significant. The climax of Maya's journey arrives during the launch of her new photography series, titled The Shape of Second Chances. The gallery is packed, the atmosphere electric as people move through the space, their eyes drawn to the stories her photos tell. One piece, in particular, captures everyone's attention. A self-portrait of Maya, standing on a windswept beach, her face turned toward the horizon. The caption reads, "In breaking, I found myself." As the crowd gathers around the photo, Maya feels a surge of emotion. This isn't just her story, it's a story of resilience, of hope, of finding strength in the face of adversity, and she's sharing it with the world. When the evening ends, Maya steps outside, the cool night air wrapping around her like a comforting embrace. Claire joins her, a bottle of champagne in hand. "To you," she says, pouring them each a glass. "To everything you've built." Maya smiles, her heart full. "To us," she replies, "to everything we've overcome." As Maya stands there, looking out at the city lights, she knows her journey is far from over. There will be challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt, but she also knows she's equipped to face them, armed with the strength and wisdom she's gained. And as she takes her first sip of champagne, she feels a quiet but unshakable certainty. The best is yet to come. As the dust settles on Maya's journey, the sense of calm that follows feels earned, not given. The launch of her new photography series, The Shape of Second Chances, is hailed as a triumph, and with it comes a wave of recognition that once felt like a distant dream. Maya's inbox is flooded with messages from art curators, fellow photographers, and even people inspired by her work, sharing their own stories of resilience. For the first time, Maya doesn't feel the need to look over her shoulder or question whether she's enough. She's no longer defined by the pain of the past, but by the strength she's discovered within herself. And that, more than anything, feels like the true victory. In the days following the exhibition, Maya finds herself reflecting on the people who have shaped her journey. Claire, ever the supportive friend, encourages her to take a break and celebrate her success. "You've worked so hard," Claire says during a quiet afternoon at Maya's apartment. "Maybe it's time to enjoy the view for a bit." Maya laughs, her gaze drifting to the photos hanging on her walls. "You're right, I think I've spent so much time climbing that I forgot what it's like to just be." Claire grins, raising her glass of iced tea. To just being. As they toast, Maya feels a deep sense of gratitude, not just for Claire, but for everyone who has walked alongside her in this journey. They've been her lifeline, her mirror, her reminder that she doesn't have to do it all alone. Meanwhile, Ryan's life has taken a quieter turn. He's stepped away from the chaos that once consumed him, focusing instead on the small, meaningful moments that bring him peace. His volunteer work at the youth center has become a cornerstone of his new routine, and the relationships he's built there have given him a sense of purpose he didn't know he needed. One evening, as he locks up the center, Paul, his mentor, stops him on the way out. "You've come a long way," Paul says, his voice warm with approval. "But the real work never stops." Ryan nods, understanding the weight of the words. "I know, and I'm ready for it." For Ryan, the journey isn't about redemption in the eyes of others. It's about finding peace within himself. and though the road ahead will have its challenges, he feels equipped to face them. Maya's story comes full circle when she receives an invitation to speak at a local art event, the theme Healing Through Creativity. At first, the idea of standing on stage and sharing her journey feels daunting, but the more she thinks about it, the more she realizes how much she has to say. The day of the event arrives, and Maya stands backstage, her heart pounding as she rehearses her opening lines. When she steps onto the stage, the room is filled with eager faces, all waiting to hear her story. "I used to believe that breaking was the end," she begins, her voice steady despite the nerves fluttering in her chest. "But I've learned that breaking is just the beginning. It's in the cracks that we find our strength, our resilience, and our beauty." She shares her journey, the betrayal, the heartbreak, the fear of starting over, but she also shares the joy she's found in rediscovery, the power of choosing herself, and the importance of community. By the time she finishes, the room erupts into applause, and Maya feels a profound sense of fulfillment. She's not just telling her story, she's helping others find the courage to tell theirs. As Maya steps off the stage, she's approached by a woman in her mid-30s, tears glistening in her eyes. "Thank you," the woman says, her voice trembling. "I've been where you were, and hearing your story, it gives me hope." Maya smiles, reaching out to squeeze the woman's hand. "You're stronger than you think. Don't ever forget that." The interaction stays with Maya long after the event ends. It's a reminder that while her journey has been deeply personal, it's also part of something much bigger, a shared human experience of growth, resilience, and connection. The final chapter of Maya's journey is one of quiet triumph. She moves into a new apartment overlooking the city, a space that feels like a fresh start. The walls are adorned with her favorite photographs, each one a testament to the life she's rebuilt. Her days are filled with art, laughter, and moments of stillness. She's learned to savor the present, to find joy in the small things. A cup of coffee on a sunny morning, a walk through the park, a conversation with a friend. The future feels open and full of possibility, and for the first time, Maya is excited to see where it leads. Ryan, too, finds closure in his own way. He writes a letter to Maya, not one he intends to send, but one that allows him to express everything he's carried since their separation. In it, he thanks her for the lessons she taught him, for the love they shared, and for the strength she showed in walking away. When he finishes, Ryan folds the letter and places it in a box labeled, "Lessons Learned." It's not about dwelling on the past, it's about honoring it and then moving forward. In the end, Maya and Ryan's paths diverge, but their journeys share a common thread: growth. They've both faced their darkest moments and come out stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. Their stories are no longer intertwined, but they're better for having been part of each other's lives. The final moments of Maya's story are ones of peace and possibility. On a crisp autumn morning, she sits on her balcony, her camera in hand. The city stretches out before her, bathed in golden light. As she snaps a photo, she feels a sense of closure, not just for the journey she's been on, but for the person she's become. This is her life, her story, her masterpiece, and she's ready for whatever comes next.